about this, and do you know how insensitive it is to joke about that?
Yeah.
Right?
The killjoys who could very easily just not go to a comedy show that they find offensive.
Yeah.
You know, it's called making decisions for yourself. And if you don't like the comedy, don't consume the comedy and move on with your life.
Yeah, and so, but
you don't get to be the arbiter of like what kind of comedy everyone else gets to hear.
Ana Kasparian versus Cenk Uygur on the Young Turks debates and arguments are getting really heated. This one, they're talking about woke censorship and censorship coming from the left wing. I'm sure you can already guess where Ana Kasparian is standing on it versus where Cenk Uygur is standing on it. Ana Kasparian completely checks Cenk Uygur for his ridiculous stance on the woke and left-wing censorship going on in comedy and just across the media landscape in general. And of course, Ana Kasparian doesn't like the fact that Cenk Uygur is supporting this censorship. Let's get into this clip here from the Young Turks of Ana Kasparian absolutely destroying Cenk Uygur live on the Young Turks once again.
I did not know that people care what comedians say. That literally came as news to me. I don't think as I said, the extreme left has done anything to inhibit the art of comedy.
Right.
I'm taking that back now officially. They have not.
But they have. Wait, what? Okay, so he is all of a sudden backtracking on a statement he made back in April where he said that the left ruined comedy. Now look, the left ruining comedy, hyperbolic. That is a little bit ridiculous. But do some factions of the left try to police comedy because they take great offense to funny comedy? Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do. But I agree with Jerry. Like, I get his frustration. So, like, whenever they're busting Kamala Harris or some corporate Democrat on some extreme left thing that they did, and we're supposed to be to the left of them, and we are, but on economic issues, on things that make sense, they're like, aha, and you agreed, said this. I never agreed to any of that. I'm on the record. Whenever the Democrats go too far, I go, no, not buying it. I'm not in favor of that. I don't think we should pay for undocumented trans surgeries while they're in custody. I don't know why we're doing that. They're not American citizens, etc. And watch, like leftists will get super mad about me saying that.
No, they're melting down right now.
Right, and so I never agreed to any of the extreme stuff, but there was a moment where I got so frustrated with the police abuse. I originally was against defund the police very strongly, and they got tons of pushback on that.
I remember, yep.
And for like a minute, I was like, God damn it, maybe we should defund the police. And then I regained my senses and went back to my original position. So I understand where Jerry's coming from. He got frustrated by the leftists, who you're right, do exist, who are like, you can't joke about that, and you can't joke about.
I'm curious to hear what you guys think, because I do think that the left ruined comedy for a while. And I think a lot of comedians who went left wing, who were used to be funny, also ruined comedy. Think of people like Seth Rogen and those kind of guys who, they used to be funny, and then the left wing came in and ruined comedy, and those guys are ruined forever because of the stances that they took on the left wing ruining comedy. I think for a while, the left wing did ruin comedy, especially, the 2020, or maybe let's say 2017 to 2021 time period, I think was pretty bad when it comes to comedy, especially in TV and Hollywood. That's still bad. But even with stand-up comedy, people were watching what they say and stuff like that. Now I think especially stand-up comedians just don't really care about cancel culture anymore. They're not really taking it serious anymore. So for a time period, I think the left did ruin comedy. I don't think it's really ruined comedy anymore. I think it's made a lot of people unfunny and very obnoxious, and I just can't even stand listening to them anymore, like people like Seth Rogen. But I think most stand-up comedians, the ones that are actually successful nowadays, they just don't care about cancel culture. So for a while it did. They tried to ruin comedy, but I don't think it's ruined still to this day.
About this, and do you know how insensitive it is to joke about that?
Yeah.
Right?
The killjoys who could very easily just not go to a comedy show that they find offensive.
Yeah.
It's called making decisions for yourself. And if you don't like the comedy, don't consume the comedy and move on with your life.
Yeah, and so, but
you don't get to be the arbiter of like what kind of comedy everyone else gets to hear.
Yes and no. So now, but I agree with Jerry that he did go too far, and I like that he's bringing it back. Okay.
All right.
So, because what he's saying is, look, guys, we got to read the room. That's our job as comics. And Bill Burr's been saying that. A lot of top comics are saying that now. So the momentum has swung from stop crying about people's complaints and do goddamn comedy, okay?
Well, that I agree with. Like, I also can't stand comedians incessantly whining about people being offended by their jokes. I get that it's annoying. I get that it's frustrating when people are trying to police your comedy, but also let's not forget who has the power here.
Yeah, so let me give you an example of, in my opinion, where we went too far, where the comics went too far, right? But to distinguish between who's right and wrong. Anyway, so for a while, every comedy set was about, oh, they don't let me make this joke, but watch this. Trans people, you suck. I'm like, that's not a joke.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I'd watch there for half an hour, and guys who were enormously funny before, like Dave Chappelle, all of a sudden like doing nothing but like, I'm so bold because I say things that people hate. No, you have to actually include a joke, right? But I then saw the Ricky Gervais special.
Which, by the way, I do think Dave Chappelle fell off a little bit because he leaned in so much to the fact that he's being attacked by people. But Cenk Uygur saying this as if Dave Chappelle was wrong when he said that. He wasn't wrong, you know. He was maybe a little bit less funny than he used to be, but he's not wrong. When he did the first Netflix the Netflix special that he did, with you know that had the trans jokes in it, people they were leaving Netflix. You know, they were quitting their jobs at Netflix. There were actual like protests outside of the Netflix headquarters. People care that much, and they wanted the special gone. And I'm shocked that Netflix left it up. It must have been printing money for them if they were going to leave it up, because Netflix is one of the most woke producers of this content ever. I'm shocked that they left it up, but they did. It must, like I said, must have been absolutely printing money for them. But Dave Chappelle was getting attacked, was getting death threats. There were actual physical protests, like serious ones too. Like a lot of people showed up to those, of employees and just random people who were just mad that Dave Chappelle made a trans joke in his comedy special. So I think to kind of give them the middle finger, he just kept doing it over and over and over again. Yeah, it might have been a little bit less funny each time, but he was never wrong about anything that he said.
And I was like, look, I don't want him beating up on trans people again, like every other comic, and I heard that he did in his set, and I was super frustrated. Then I watched it and I was like, no, that was funny. And he wasn't beating up on them. He was making a joke and then saying, but guys, of course we don't believe that. It's called comedy, right? And he shouldn't have to explain that. You should be able to get it from the way that he makes the joke, and I did. But the times being what they were, I appreciate that he even clarified, right? Mm-hmm. So I thought Gervais did it exactly right. Chappelle, as much as I respected him in the past, I thought was so unfunny for so many specials.
They turned into lectures. Like,
yeah,
some of those specials did turn into lectures, and it's like, I get that you are frustrated at the backlash you're getting, but it's getting to your head too much and it's hurting your comedy. Like, move on.
100%.
Move on.
So it then became like some sort of like debate between leftists and comics, and nobody was having fun.
100%.
So when Burr and the others and now Jerry are saying, no, let's get back to comedy and not worry about what the critics are saying. We're comics. So just do your comedy, and if it's funny, people will love it. And do you have to change with the times sometimes? Of course. People used to use the N-word in comedy all the time. They don't use it anymore because people are like, whoa, that's weird. Why are you hateful? Right?
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Right? Because our culture changed, and you got to change with that. You can't be like a cranky old 98-year-old comic going, I remember when we used to be able to say hateful things and people laughed. Now they're not even laughing at it anymore. Yeah, they're not. So move. Find something funny.
Okay, I remember, there's that NFL guy who's kind of cute and was married to Gisele Bündchen. What was his name?
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, okay.
There's that NFL guy.
So they did a roast of him.
They did.
And it was great. Like there were a lot of offensive jokes and it was great. Sometimes you just want to laugh. You want to be able to laugh at yourself. You want to be able to just like take some of these issues that are heavy, serious issues and make light of them. Honestly, for a lot of people, the way that they cope with these heavy, difficult, terrible issues in the world is finding the humor in it or resorting to humor in order to cope with it. Like there is an incredibly important role for comedy in today's society. And I just take issue with any group, whether it's leftist, people on the right, I don't care, trying to be the arbiters of what is and is not acceptable comedy.
Yeah, but both sides have to adjust, right?
I agree, yes, I do. I agree with that. So if audiences aren't liking your comedy because you're going too far and you're not selling tickets to your shows, don't cry about it. That's when you have to adjust.
Yep.
But also, let's give comedians the space and the room to fail, okay? And let the market decide.
Yeah, and by the way, and if you don't, that's okay too. Who cares? So like, if Dave Chappelle thinks, oh, I was funny, and Cenk thinks I wasn't, I hate him. Okay, that's fine, no problem. You'll find other people that.
But I agree 100% with what Ana Kasparian just said. And let's let the market decide, right? Because that's what these people were trying to not do. That's what people like Cenk Uygur were trying to not do. They were saying, screw the market. We don't care how much this is, people like this, how much this is making. I care about the fact that my feelings are hurt. And that's why there was these protests going on. But the market did ultimately decide because, like I said, it must have been absolutely printing money for Netflix to not remove that Dave Chappelle special because it goes directly against everything that Netflix stands for. They don't care about making good stuff anymore. They care about being as woke as possible. And that Dave Chappelle special was good and anti-woke as you can get. And so anti-woke that they were actual physical protests outside the Netflix headquarters. So I agree with Ana Kasparian. Let the market decide. Screw what all these people's feelings say. Just let the market decide, and I think everything will kind of regulate itself whenever the market is the ones that's deciding, rather than other people's emotions. And this makes me feel bad. Who cares about how it makes you feel? It's bringing money in. It's putting money in the bank. Therefore, it makes a lot of other people feel very good about it. Let me know in the comments what you think about this episode here of The Young Turks and Ana Kasparian putting Cenk Uygur in his place once again live on The Young Turks. Let me know in the comments what you think about this whole Ana Kasparian versus Cenk Uygur situation.